Welcome to your deep dive on sleep deprivation. We've got Matthew Walker's book, Why We Sleep, and I'm already getting the feeling that this is going to be more than just, get your 8 hours.
Oh, you're absolutely right. It goes way deeper than that. Prepare to have some assumptions challenged, for sure. Today, we're going to be focusing on what sleep deprivation does to your brain, and trust me, it's wilder than you think.
Okay, well, I definitely know that tired feeling, but I also know that, everyone pushes through it sometimes, right? I mean, is it really as bad as Walker makes it out to be?
He compares it to things that the Guinness Book of World Records won't even touch anymore.
Whoa, whoa, hold on. What do you mean?
So they used to have a sleep deprivation record, but they stopped recognizing attempts because it was deemed too risky.
You're saying staying awake is riskier than, those wingsuit flyers jumping off mountains?
Exactly. Guinness thinks those extreme sports are safer than pushing your body past its sleep limits.
Okay, that is a serious reality check. I know drowsy driving is bad, but I guess I never really grasped how bad.
It's a silent killer, literally. Think
Yeah.
about it. In the U.S., every hour, someone dies in a car accident due to fatigue.
Every hour.
Every hour. And that's more frequent than accidents caused by alcohol and drugs combined.
More than both combined. That's hard to believe. Why is that?
Well, think of it this way. Alcohol, it slows your reaction time, right? But sleep deprivation can lead to these things called microsleeps, where your brain just shuts off for a few seconds.
You wouldn't even know what's happening.
Exactly. Imagine that at 60 miles an hour.
That's terrifying. Didn't Walker have a story about a truck driver in the book?
He did. The guy was awake for 34 hours and caused this horrific accident. What's really chilling is that he wasn't drunk or on drugs, just exhausted.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. Sadly, 7 people died, including 5 kids from the same family.
That's just heartbreaking. It really puts this whole thing into perspective.
And to make it even more real, in the time we've been talking, there's likely been another drowsy driving accident somewhere in the U.S.
I don't even know what to say to that. This is blowing my mind, and we're just getting started. So how much sleep loss is too much? Is there a tipping point where things really go south?
Well, David Dingers, a big name in sleep research, he did this study where people took this really simple attention test for 2 weeks straight. Different groups got different amounts of sleep, and the results were alarming, to say the least.
Okay, I'm all ears. What did they find?
First, any sleep loss slowed reactions. But the really scary part is, the less people slept, the more microsleeps they had during the test, where they just stopped responding entirely.
Oh, wow. So it's like their brains just went on autopilot for a few seconds, and these lapses happen even with just a little sleep loss.
Yep, but get this. After only 6 nights of 4 hours of sleep, people were performing as poorly as if they had been awake for a full 24 hours.
6 nights. That's a pretty typical week for a lot of people.
Exactly, and even scarier. After 10 days of 6 hours a night, their performance was just as bad. It's like your brain is slowly drowning from lack of sleep, and multiple studies have shown similar results.
So no matter how you spin it, 6 hours just isn't enough for most people.
Right, and the real kicker, people are terrible at judging their own impairment. These study participants kept saying they felt fine even when their performance was tanking.
So you could be driving thinking you're totally alert when actually...
So you danger to yourself and everyone else on the road. It's what they call baseline resetting. With chronic sleep loss, you kind of adjust to feeling lousy, so it just becomes the new normal.
So all those, I only need 5 hours, folks.
No.
They're probably fooling themselves.
Unless they've won some genetic lottery, which is incredibly rare, then yeah, they are. The science is really clear. You can't function optimally on that little sleep.
Wow. I'm definitely starting to see this whole sleep thing in a new light and feeling a little guilty about some late nights. So we've talked about driving, but what about just, the emotional side of things? Does sleep affect that too?
Big time. Ever notice how you get, extra grumpy when you're tired?
Okay.
Well, there's a reason for that.
Yeah.
Another study used brain scans to actually see how sleep loss affects emotions.
Okay, how did that work?
They showed pictures with varying emotional intensity to 2 groups. One sleep-deprived, one well-rested. The sleep-deprived group. They had over 60% more activity in their amygdala, which is the brain's emotion center.
So lack of sleep puts your emotions on high alert. No wonder we get so reactive.
Exactly. It's like the brain's logic center, the prefrontal cortex. It just can't keep up with the amygdala when you're sleep-deprived. You literally lose that inhibitory control.
So we're not only more irritable, but also more susceptible to those, impulse buys at 3 a.m.
Precisely. The reward centers of the brain are also more active when you're sleep-deprived.
Wow, so sleep deprivation is like a recipe for bad decisions all around. What about the link between sleep and mental health? That's always felt kind of fuzzy to me.
It's more concrete than you might think. Every major psychiatric disorder, from depression to bipolar disorder, involves abnormal sleep patterns. And it's not just a symptom, it can actually be a trigger.
So you're saying it's not just that mental illness causes sleep issues, but sleep issues can actually make mental illness worse.
Exactly. There was this study in Italy, and they found that sleep deprivation can induce manic episodes in people with bipolar disorder, even when they're stable otherwise.
That's kind of terrifying, honestly. So could better sleep actually help people manage these conditions?
There's promising research on that. Dr. Allison Harvey at UC Berkeley, she uses something called CBTI, which is therapy for insomnia, to treat various mental health conditions.
And what she found?
By improving sleep, she's seen reductions in depression and anxiety symptoms, even helping some patients experience remission and decrease suicidal thoughts. It's pretty remarkable.
Wow. So sleep isn't just about feeling good. It's about protecting our mental well-being, too. And I know Walker talks about learning and memory. Does sleep deprivation actually affect that?
Big time. Remember all those all-nighters you pulled in college? Turns out those are probably doing more harm than good.
You're going to tell me cramming is a myth, aren't you?
Pretty much. Walker found that pulling an all-nighter creates a 40% deficit in your ability to learn new information compared to a well-rested brain.
So you're basically shooting yourself in the foot by staying up all night to study.
Think of it like this. Sleep deprivation shuts down your hippocampus, the part of your brain that forms new memories. It's like your brain's inbox is full, and it just can't receive any new messages.
That's a perfect analogy. And even if you do manage to learn something while exhausted, you're more likely to forget it quickly.
Absolutely. Sleep is essential for memory consolidation, moving information from short-term to long-term storage. It's like hitting save on your brain's hard drive.
Makes sense. So are you saying those late-night study sessions were a total waste of time?
Not necessarily. What's important is getting sleep after learning something new to help cement it in your memory.
Man, I wish I'd known that back in college. Speaking of college, didn't Walker change his own teaching methods because of sleep deprivation?
He did. When he surveyed his students, over 85% of them were pulling all-nighters regularly. He realized the way exams were structured was just encouraging this really unhealthy habit.
So what did he do about it?
He got rid of final exams altogether. He split his courses into these smaller chunks so students had less material to cram for at once.
That's brilliant. More professors should take a page out of his book.
Agreed. He's not just talking about sleep. He's actively promoting healthy sleep habits in his classroom. And there's this other study that emphasizes how crucial it is to sleep right after learning.
Oh, the one by Robert Stickle.
That's the one. He had students learn this visual task, then tested them on it after different amounts of sleep. As you'd expect, more sleep meant better recall. But here's the twist. Those who were sleep-deprived the first night never caught up, even with 2 full nights of recovery sleep later.
Whoa, so you can't bank sleep and make up for it later when it comes to learning?
It seems that way. If you really want to remember something, getting sleep immediately afterward is crucial. And this leads us to this big topic that's getting a lot of attention lately: sleep and Alzheimer's disease.
Right, I know sleep quality can decline with age, but what's the connection with Alzheimer's?
Well, it's not just any sleep that's affected, it's deep and REM sleep. This type of sleep is really crucial for memory and what they call brain cleanup, and the decline is far steeper in people with Alzheimer's.
Steeper than normal aging, so bad sleep could be an early sign of Alzheimer's.
That's one theory researchers are investigating. What's even scarier is, the worse the sleep, the more severe the Alzheimer's symptoms seem to be. And recent research is uncovering a possible reason for this link.
I'm all ears. Tell me everything.
You've probably heard of amyloid plaques, those protein clumps that build up in the brains of people with Alzheimer's, right?
Vaguely. They cause damage, right?
Exactly. But they don't build up evenly. They tend to accumulate in specific areas, including the part of the brain that controls deep sleep.
Oh, no. So the very thing that helps clear out amyloid is also being attacked by amyloid. That's awful.
It's a vicious cycle. The amyloid disrupts deep sleep, and without proper deep sleep, the amyloid builds up even more.
So it's not just that Alzheimer's messes with sleep, but the amyloid actually damages the sleep control center. Could this be a key to early diagnosis?
That's what they're hoping. If we can detect this specific type of sleep disruption early on, it can be a really important warning sign. But here's the really interesting part. Research suggests that amyloid itself might not directly cause memory loss.
Wait, what? If it's not the amyloid directly, then what is?
The lack of deep sleep. It seems that amyloid disrupts deep sleep, and that's what leads to memory problems. Remember that whole brain cleaning thing we talked about? Well, it happens during deep sleep.
Okay, remind me how that works again.
Our brains have this system called the glymphatic system. Imagine it like these tiny little garbage trucks that come in and clear out waste products while we sleep, including amyloid.
And deep sleep is prime time for garbage collection.
Exactly. But without enough deep sleep, those trucks can't do their job properly, so the amyloid piles up, making sleep even worse, and so on.
So it's a downward spiral that starts with not getting enough deep sleep. This is all pretty scary stuff.
It is. The takeaway here is that insufficient sleep throughout your life increases your risk of developing Alzheimer's. It's not just about feeling good now, it's about protecting your brain for the future.
Wow, this has been a lot to take in, and I feel like we've only just scratched the surface.
We have. And there's more to come in part 2, where we'll look at how sleep deprivation affects your body. It's not just your brain that suffers.
Okay, I'm both fascinated and terrified to hear more. But first, I think I need a nap. Okay, I'm back and ready for more. In part 1, we went deep into the brain stuff, and honestly, I'm still processing all that. But now we're moving on to the body.
That's right. Get ready for round 2. If you thought the brain impacts were wild, sleep deprivation's effects on the rest of you is a whole other level of crazy.
I'm almost afraid to ask, but where do we even begin with that? It's like my whole body's involved now.
Pretty much. Let's start with the immune system, your defense force against getting sick. Turns out, sleep is basically the recharge station for those defenses.
So when I'm sleep deprived, I'm basically leaving myself wide open to every bug going around.
You got it. During sleep, your body produces these proteins called cytokines. They help fight off infection and inflammation. Think of them like tiny ninjas patrolling your system.
Love that image. But without sleep, the ninjas are off duty.
Exactly. Cytokine production takes a nosedive, leaving you vulnerable. Studies show that people who consistently get less than 7 hours of sleep are 3 times more likely to catch a cold.
3 times? That's a huge difference. So it's not just about feeling groggy, it's actually impacting my health.
Big time. And it's not just colds. Chronic sleep loss is linked to higher risks of heart disease, stroke, even some cancers. It's like your body's ability to fight back is compromised.
Okay, I'm officially spooked now. But this is also kind of empowering, right? Like, if I prioritize sleep, I'm actually boosting my immunity.
You're catching on. It's like giving your immune system all the resources it needs to do its job properly. Honestly, one of the best things you can do for your health. Seriously.
I'm definitely seeing a pattern here. Sleep affects everything. What about metabolism and all that? Does lack of sleep make me pack on the pounds?
Oh, you bet.
Yeah.
Sleep deprivation messes with your hormones, specifically leptin and ghrelin, the ones that regulate hunger.
Okay, refresh my memory on those two. One
Well,
makes you feel full, the other one makes you want to raid the fridge.
You got it. Leptin's the I'm full signal, ghrelin's the feed me signal. When you're sleep deprived, leptin goes down, ghrelin goes up.
So I'm both more hungry and less satisfied by food. That's a recipe for disaster.
It is. Studies have linked chronic short sleep to higher rates of being overweight or obese. And it's not just the hormones either. Sleep loss also throws off your insulin sensitivity.
Insulin. That's the one that helps my body use sugar for energy, right? What happens to that when I'm sleep deprived?
Your body can't process glucose as efficiently, so your blood sugar levels can spike. Over time, this increases your risk of developing type 2 diabetes.
Another one of those conditions we're seeing more and more of these days.
Exactly. And sleep deprivation is a big part of the problem. So yeah, getting enough sleep is super important for maintaining a healthy weight and preventing diabetes.
I'm sensing another sleep is essential message here. But it's not just about the hours in bed, right? What about the quality of sleep?
You nailed it. You need enough of that deep restorative sleep, the kind that really recharges your system. That's where sleep disorders come into play.
Right, like insomnia or sleep apnea, those can really mess with the quality even if you're in bed for a decent amount of time.
Exactly. They prevent you from getting those crucial deep sleep stages, which can have the same negative effects as just not sleeping enough overall.
Okay, so we've covered immune system, hormones, metabolism. It's a lot. Before we move on, is there anything people can do right now to start addressing these issues?
Well, the first step is always awareness. Now that you know the impacts, make sleep a priority in your life.
Easier said than done, I think, in our go, go, go world, but it sounds like it's worth fighting for.
100%.
Yeah.
And if you suspect you might have a sleep disorder, don't hesitate to see a sleep specialist. They can help diagnose and treat the issue.
Good to know. Okay, so sleep deprivation makes me more likely to get sick, throws my hormones out of whack and increases my risk of diabetes. Is there anything else it messes with?
You name it, sleep deprivation probably has a negative effect on it. We haven't even talked about cardiovascular health yet.
Oh, right, heart disease. That's a big one. How does sleep deprivation affect that?
Well, for starters, it raises your blood pressure, putting more strain on your heart. Over time, that can lead to hypertension, which is a major risk factor for heart attack and stroke.
So even a few bad nights of sleep can start to do damage.
It can, yeah. And it's not just blood pressure. Sleep deprivation also boosts your levels of cortisol, the stress hormone.
Cortisol, isn't that the one that gives you that fight or flight feeling? I thought that was a good thing in small doses.
It is. But when cortisol is constantly elevated, it can actually harm your blood vessels and contribute to plaque buildup, leading to atherosclerosis.
Hardening of the arteries, not good. So basically, sleep deprivation sets the stage for all sorts of heart trouble down the road.
That's a good way to sum it up. It's not the only factor, of course, but it's a big one that we have some control over.
Okay, I'm getting the message loud and clear. Sleep is vital for a healthy heart. Besides the obvious, getting enough rest, what else can we do to protect our tickers?
All the things you'd expect. Manage stress, eat a healthy diet, get regular exercise.
The usual suspects. But I guess it all works together, right?
Yeah, they do. And getting enough sleep is like the foundation. It gives your heart the time and resources it needs to stay strong and healthy.
Okay, I'm seeing the bigger picture now. Sleep deprivation weakens the immune system, throws hormones out of whack, increases risk of diabetes, and sets the stage for heart problems. Anything else?
Honestly, we've just scratched the surface. There's so much more to learn about how sleep affects the body.
I'm sensing a theme here. Sleep really essential for, like, everything. So what's next?
Well, now that we've seen how bad things can get in part 3, we'll shift gears and talk about what you can do about it. We'll explore some practical strategies for improving your sleep, from establishing good habits to dealing with those inevitable sleepless nights.
Perfect. I'm ready to turn all this doom and gloom into action. Bring on the sleep tips. All right, after parts 1 and 2, I'm both fascinated and a bit terrified by all this sleep stuff. It's way more crucial than I ever realized. But enough with the scary stuff. Let's talk solutions. What can we actually do to sleep better?
That's the spirit. Now that you understand the stakes, we can empower you to take charge of your sleep. Think of it like learning a new skill. It takes practice and effort, but the payoff is huge.
So where do we even start? What are, like, the basics of good sleep, the sleep 101, so to speak?
First up is sleep hygiene. It's basically a set of habits and practices that promote good sleep.
Okay, I'm intrigued. What kind of habits are we talking about? Give me the good stuff.
One of the most important is consistency. Aim to go to bed and wake up around the same time each day, even on weekends.
So no more sleeping until noon on Saturdays. I knew there had to be a catch.
Well, think of it this way. You're training your body to expect sleep at a certain time, making it easier to fall asleep and wake up feeling refreshed. Consistency is key.
Makes sense. So what else can we do to build good sleep hygiene? What about all that pre-sleep routine stuff I hear about?
That's crucial. Creating a relaxing bedtime routine is like sending a signal to your brain that it's time to wind down.
Okay, I like that.
Think warm baths, reading a good book, listening to calming music, anything that helps you de-stress and relax.
Sign me up for all of that. It sounds way more appealing than scrolling through my phone until I pass out.
And speaking of phones, try to avoid screens for at least an hour before bed.
Right. The blue light. It messes with your melatonin production, which helps you sleep.
Exactly. That blue light tricks your brain into thinking it's still daytime. So ditch the phone, the tablet, the computer, and opt for those relaxing activities instead.
Got it. No more late night social media binges for me. So consistent sleep schedule, relaxing bedtime routine, and no screens before bed. Anything else I should be talking about?
Your bedroom environment matters too. Make it cool, dark, and quiet. Think of it as a sanctuary for sleep, free from distractions.
So invest in blackout curtains and maybe a white noise machine. Got it.
Those are great ideas. And what about everyone's favorite sleep disruptors, caffeine and alcohol?
Ooh, that's a tough one. I know I should probably cut back, but give me the hard truth. How bad all day, really?
Both can mess with your sleep, although in different ways. Caffeine is the stimulant, so it can keep you wired for hours after you've had it.
So that afternoon coffee might be coming back to haunt me at bedtime.
It's definitely passable. Try to avoid caffeine for at least 6 hours before you plan to hit the hay.
Okay, noted. Now, what about alcohol? I know it kind of makes me sleepy at first, but is that a good thing or a bad thing?
It's tricky. While alcohol might help you doze off initially, It actually disrupts your sleep later in the night, preventing you from getting that deep, restorative sleep you need.
Ah, so that nightcap is actually backfiring.
It can, yeah. It can also worsen snoring and sleep apnea if you're prone to those. Best to limit alcohol intake overall, especially close to bedtime.
Okay, so we've got the consistent sleep schedule, the relaxing routine, ditching the screens, optimizing the bedroom, and cutting back on caffeine and alcohol. I'm feeling pretty good about all that. What about exercise? Does that play a role?
Absolutely. Regular exercise can significantly improve your sleep quality.
Hmm.
However, avoid those intense workouts right before bed.
Why is that? I would think being exhausted would make you sleep like a log.
You'd think so.
Yeah.
But exercise raises your body temperature and releases endorphins, which can actually make it harder to fall asleep.
So early morning workouts are ideal.
Exactly. Aim for at least 3 hours before bedtime to allow your body to wind down.
Okay, so I'm diligently following all these steps, but what about those nights when, like, sleep just won't come? You know, those nights when you're staring at the ceiling, counting sheep, getting more and more frustrated. Any advice for those moments?
Oh, we've all been there, tossing
Mm.
and turning, watching the clock tick by. It's the worst. But honestly, the biggest mistake is lying in bed worrying about not sleeping.
Really, I always figured if I just stayed put, sleep would eventually come.
Unfortunately, it doesn't really work that way. Lying there stressing about sleep just creates anxiety and reinforces the association between your bed and wakefulness.
So what should I do instead? Get up and do a puzzle.
Not quite. If you're not asleep after 20 minutes or so, get out of bed and do something relaxing until you feel tired again. Read a book, listen to some calming music, maybe meditate. Just keep the lights dim.
Right, don't want to mess with that melatonin production. So basically, avoid anything stimulating and just create a calm, restful environment.
Exactly. And remember, be patient. These changes take time. Don't get discouraged if you don't see results overnight.
It's a process, not a quick fix. But if all this leads to better sleep, I'm willing to put in the work. This deep dive has been a total game changer for me. I never realized how important sleep was for, like, literally everything.
It's been my pleasure sharing this information with you, and hopefully it's inspired you to prioritize sleep and make those positive changes.
Inspired is an understatement. I'm ready to overhaul my sleep habits and start reaping all the benefits. Any final words of wisdom before we wrap up?
Remember, even small changes can make a big difference. Start tonight. Create that relaxing bedtime routine. Turn off those screens and give your body the gift of a good night's sleep. You'll be amazed at how much better you feel, both physically and mentally.
Couldn't have said it better myself. Sweet dreams, everyone.